Hi, everyone. This is Jill Itoro with SC Media and Cyber Risk Alliance, and I want to welcome you to another video we've been doing for Awareness Month. We've been trying to spotlight some of kind of the people aspects of key pillars of cybersecurity throughout October and what organizations can really do to prop up the people in their organizations to better support efforts around cybersecurity. So today we are going to be talking about email security, and joining me for this conversation is Stacy Hughes. She is Senior Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer at Voya Financial. Of course, the financial market faces all sorts of threats, being highly targeted. They are also among the most advanced when it comes to cybersecurity implementation. So I'm really looking forward to get some perspective from Stacy today. So Stacy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jill. I'm happy to be here today.
Great. So let's set the frame here a little bit. From your perspective, what are some of the specific risks for the financial market that in particular influence tactics for email security? Like, what is your motivator here as you kind of put policies together to help protect systems and networks from targeting of email?
Well, to start off with, I don't know of a company that doesn't see email as a security risk, no matter what industry that we're in. And even looking at the Verizon data breach investigation report, I think the statistics were 82%, of compromises involved the human error element, which is some of that is phishing. And drilling down a little bit more into the financial sector, it is still a big risk for the financial space as well too. We are continuously being targeted by, business email compromise risk. There is also a lot of phishing that goes on, as well as whaling, where we're trying to have targeted phishing attacks against our senior executives. And all of that can lead to fraud as well too. So there's definitely a lot of risks out there in the industry as a whole, and specifically more targeted in the financial sector.
Yeah, absolutely. Has it evolved? As it seems to me that in the financial world, there's been an interesting evolution recently, I would say even as recent as the last few years, where customers are demanding more digital access, whether it be direct to their bank accounts or indirectly using, payment applications and systems. Has that changed the risk factor, or at least how it's managed for the financial institutions?
I think most users, including us, I would say, have expected to manage our accounts through a digital means, primarily on our phone. And that's the expectation. And I do think that also gives us light as security professionals on how we continue to protect that information, and really focusing on key areas such as multi-factor authentication, and really being able to make sure we aren't just using an email, for example, as the only second factor. There are a lot of new FIDO requirements and others coming out that really are looking to go passwordless. And I think ultimately that's where we will go long-term down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think many of us will be very happy to see that happen, to be honest.
Yes. They won't be selling those password books anymore.
Yes,
some of the books
exactly. We're doing silly things like writing our password down within the system, which is kind of beside the point. But in any case, I do know too, finance is like some other specific verticals, has very sensitive documentation that is often shared, whether it be with customers, whether it be with financial partners. How is this managed? What policies need to be in place? What technology needs to be in place to ensure this can be done in a secure way, whether it be through email or whether it be through some other means?
Well, I think when you're starting first with email, making sure that any communication is automatically set to have encrypted transmission. I think most technologies out there now automatically have that. I also think it's part of helping to educate your employees on when you have more sensitive data and need to transmit that. Talk about email first, that you are making sure that that email is encrypted. There's a lot of secure file transmission methods that you can do, either through a secure share transfer as well as through email systems that allow that data that needs to be communicated between companies to be done in an encrypted and secure fashion.
Yeah. And within finance, would you say generally the market is pretty caught up on top of those requirements, or is it still a bit of an evolution from your perspective?
I would say from what I've seen, the financial sector is on top of that. There is an expectation that we do need to share data at times, and that is just, I would call it a table stake.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are here discussing Awareness Month, and as you mentioned with email, I would say with email security, more than many of the pillars out there involved with cyber efforts, it really comes down to employee and even customer awareness and awareness of best practices, awareness of the risk. So, first looking at what you all do, how do you enforce that internally in the workforce of being aware of best practices and also kind of what's at stake?
Well, we have multiple ways that we help communicate to our employees of Voya the importance of security. I would say with this being Cybersecurity Awareness Month, we have had a number of additional activities and interviews to talk about, not just in October, but around the year with what we're doing specifically for cybersecurity best practices. But in email specifically, we do go through training that our employees need to go through, and that's done on an annual basis, as well as some one-off, targeted communications as well too. And that's just so general reminders for everybody to really have that foundation. The next area that we do is we do test our employees and make sure we go through phishing exercises and other awareness exercises, just so that we can continue to make sure our employees are able to recognize a suspicious communication. I do think that threat actors are becoming more and more sophisticated in what we're doing, and therefore we need to make sure we're providing that training to our employees as well, and also our customers to make sure that they are recognizing what may be a suspicious email that comes to them as well.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that because finance has multiple stakeholders. And of course, it's easier to manage and set policy internally with your own employees. But a lot of the risk also lies in the customer and the transactions and interactions with the customer. So how do you manage that? It's education, I suppose, but what are the tactics in terms of helping ensure informed consumers?
Well, part of it is that we do have communication and awareness on our website at Voya to help our customers make sure they know what's expected from us when we're communicating to them. The other areas that we look at for our customers is really making sure we've got the multi-factor authentication and that they have that enabled to help protect their accounts and their information. So those are the two primary ones that we continue to educate with our customers.
Okay. So, when you think about awareness, there seems to be this balance where some of it is relying on the user to make informed judgment calls. But there's also, I would imagine the need to be realistic in terms of expectations. Because like you said, the, bad actors are growing incredibly sophisticated. So how is from your perspective, what has been encouraging in terms of the evolution of technology to enable some of that decision making to be removed from the user and managed by the systems? What are you seeing that you think is actually pretty encouraging?
Well, I think the email solutions are becoming more and more sophisticated and really being able to identify, detect, and block emails before they even get into our users' email inboxes. And I think that's something that's continued to grow more and more sophisticated as the attackers get sophisticated as well over time and continue to change tactics or change domains are coming from, those types of things and type of attachments. I think that's been very critical. I also see another one about is what we're doing with our endpoint protection to make sure all of our users, if they would happen to, in a situation, click on something, that we are able to isolate that. That's critical from a defense in depth perspective, and also, help protect us too, because everybody is human. Everybody's going to get tripped up every once in a while, even on a phishing test exercise. So being able to make sure we have those different layers to start with, as well as the multiple layers of controls that we have within environments as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other, interesting aspect, we talk about different pools of stakeholders, is some of these financial partners. You're seeing more and more direct payment systems and platforms and being used by consumers. So, that requires interesting relationships for the banking organizations, I have to imagine. Are there certain standards in place for those partners? Because, we hear so much about supply chain risk and that, ensuring that not only internal risks are addressed, but that those same risks are properly addressed from your partners. So how is that handled for your organization?
Well, we've got a robust vendor management program that we, information security, play a part of. And we look at all of our vendors on a regular basis, whether we're onboarding a new vendor or supplier or third party, or doing an annual refresh and continuing to keep in alignment with what's going on and how they're connecting to us, how we're transmitting, and making sure nothing has changed that could change the security posture.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to end. Limiting access, I think, is always, I imagine.
That is, yes, yeah. yes, that is a key piece as well too.
Yeah, terrific. Great. Well, this has been wonderful. Anything we missed that you feel is important to note in recognition of Awareness Month of October?
I think the only item that we didn't touch on is just making sure everybody has, since we do still have a lot of passwords in our environments and world we live in now, make sure they are long and complex.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why we all want the passwords to go away.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely, though. Very good advice. And I assume also, I spoke to someone else during this whole program about not making your changes as you update them very obvious. So, adding one more exclamation point or something along those lines. In any case, well, thank you. This was great. I appreciate the time and look forward to working with you again very soon.
Great. Thank you.